You know what I did over the course of Christmas and then finished it this weekend?
What's that?
Beat Street Fighter V's cinematic story experience finally.
With every character?
Well, cinematic story experience is just, it's a story. So it gives you the character to play at that particular moment. That was like the add-on. Remember when everyone complained that there was no single player mode? And so they were like, fine. And they put in this horrible cutscene, like made with the character models, horrible voice acting story thing.
I saw screenshots of that and I was like, man, I haven't seen anything like that.
And
Bruce Green.
Bruce Green is busy. I think that's yours.
he's doing work.
Adam was taking a little pissy piss.
And then, but I beat all of that. And then I went in and I did every single individual character story.
Okay.
Which like varies from 2 matches to like 3 matches with a cutscene, like a drawn, illustrated cutscene beforehand.
Is that game out already?
Street Fighter V.
Arcade mode?
Oh, I thought you were talking about
because it gives you fight money.
How groundbreaking
And
were these stories? They change
When
your life perspectives.
that's like the most efficient way to get fight money is by doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And when they switch over to Arcade Edition, that opportunity to get fight money is going to be gone.
Oh.
So I'm trying to like save
I
up
see.
so that way I can buy stages and stuff for free.
Nice.
But when that fight money is gone, can you even spend fight money at that point?
It's not gone. They're just changing how you earn it.
Oh, okay.
So you just won't be able to earn it in those like super quick get rich schemes. You have to do fight money mode.
Are they locking characters out of Dragon Ball Fighter?
I mean, there's DLC characters, yeah. There's a season's worth of characters.
When is that game?
Next 26th.
Soon.
The 26th, yeah.
Yeah.
No Switch announcement, right?
Not yet. PC though.
Would you want to
good.
play that on Switch?
Just while we're flying, yeah.
I guess
I play Street Fighter on Switch.
the old one.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2.
I don't know. I mean,
I feel like you could get away with it. It wouldn't be perfect, but
Well, that is a great way to describe relationships. Welcome to a always open bowl of dude soup.
The Switch being a shitty console is a good way. To
do it on a plane is what he meant.
Oh, well, there's that. Yeah, but also works good enough. Good enough to get the job done. I'm your host and romantic guru,
Nope,
Lawrence Sontag.
it's not true.
Yep, romantic partners you can count on one hand, but at least you can count them. We got the sexpert James Willems.
Yep.
The Omar Day arms full of sex.
Nice.
Am I right? And I don't even know where I'm going with this.
let's knock it out of the park. Let's do it.
We got one more.
Never stops getting laid, Adam Kovic. How's
There
that?
it is.
Yeah. I once got one knuckle deep into 5th base.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, you
Who's
found
that?
genitals that were not even on
You
the
can't
field.
see. You can't see it because there's a mannequin behind us. You can't
Yeah.
see the door.
Oh yeah, where's the mannequin? Is it blocking?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Sweet. Oh yeah, we also have a mannequin.
Mannequin will show up in a video eventually.
This podcast is brought to you by 2 very fine sponsors, Dollar Shave Club and Casper. You can get the Dollar Shave Club starter set for $5 exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/dude. And then you can get $50 towards select mattresses by going to casper.com/dudesoup and using promo code dudesoup at checkout. More information on those sponsors later. And a quick note. So last week we had 3 sponsors, thus it was an hour-and-a-half podcast. This week we have 2, which means it'll be around 60 minutes, but I'm not going to cut it off if there's conversations happening. Even though, man, we got a lot of shit to do. Whoo, baby! We got a live show coming up.
Oh.
Yeah, just a lot of work.
Outside of work, we have work.
Yeah,
It's good,
there's
though.
even more work.
It's coming together.
It is.
I'm laughing
really-
at my own stuff now.
Yeah. That's always a
good.
fun transition point when you can see your ideas start to be real.
Hey,
And then they entertain you, which is a good indication that it'll entertain somebody else.
it's good.
But let's step foot first into some real hot internet shit. So Babe published an article titled "I Went on a Date with Aziz Ansari. It turned into the worst night of my life."
Good title.
Yeah. Well, it's the article is of a certain type. It definitely. I'm not going to say it has an agenda, because there are people saying that. I'm not going to go there. I'm actually not going to go anywhere with this. Mostly what I'm going to describe is how I read it, and to me, this article was very much young people figuring things out. Which is not to excuse any of it if any wrongdoing happened. I'm not trying to make excuses in any way. But I think it predicates an interesting conversation. Not necessarily about the power dynamics between man and woman. Not about any of that shit. No, this is much more personal. This is about me now. It hit a chord with me because as some people would call it, like witch hunt culture or whatever, or as other people would call it, like progression towards actual justice culture, as the amount of call-outs on men increase, it reminds me of when I was young, and I was terrified of dating. Which is not to say that it's women's responsibility to make me feel accepted and that I'm allowed to date. It's just more the process that I went through, specifically being a nerd, like I assume all of us would probably self-classify as. I didn't have a lot of... Sorry, James. Yeah, very
Sexy
ripped.
nerd.
These three well-dressed men.
I almost finished Dragon Ball Z Kai Season 2 this weekend.
That's cool. I restarted rewatching Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, definitely not nerds.
I mean, both of those things are fine examples. When I was growing up, I consumed media. I didn't really have friends that dated. My dad didn't really like sit me down and tell me any good loving advice. So I didn't have any experiences or even information to draw from when I was trying to figure out where boundaries are, how I should act, how I should approach women, like how to receive rejection well. I didn't get anything of that. It was mostly just trial and error. And lo and behold, when you error with other people, things get awkward and potentially damaging.
You know what I learned in high school, though? I've talked about this before. When I discovered that all the drama majors and theater kids were all boning each other. Mm-hmm. I went through a similar thing with you, same as you, Lawrence, where I was like, I was this nerd or a closeted nerd or whatever it was, like, because I was still like playing football and all these other things. There's a Harry Crumb comic that illustrated it perfectly, where there's this like really ugly guy who goes, "No one loves me for who I am," and then there's this girl next to him who goes, "But I love you." He goes, "Yes, but you're ugly."
Oh,
it's
jeez.
It's funny you bring that up.
It is like the perfect thing where I feel like my life probably would have been less stressful had I
Harry Crumb.
No. You need the comic artist.
The comic artist, yeah. I think what I was trying to immerse my world of like, oh yeah, he's a frightening art style.
Robert Crumb?
Oh, is it Robert Crumb? I'm sorry.
I show half of this.
Yeah, I don't know. This
Oh yeah, you don't want to look at
you don't want to look at
later on.
Some balls in there.
Yeah, you might want to
Snatch
away.
Comics. Hold on, let me
Either way.
this over the other monitor.
Put it off somewhere else first.
I think I'm not. This is probably all sounding horrible, but I think I was trying to make my standards too high, but in a way that it was like I need to date the cheerleader. But I was like, that was so out of my league. And then even in hindsight, I'm like, I'm kind of glad I didn't go for that world or whatever. I ended up being with someone who made me happy.
You didn't go for it, or you didn't attain it?
I mean, like I was like Lawrence, where I was like sort of like I didn't pursue people. I wasn't majorly alpha or anything. I wasn't like, yo girl, we're dating. I was always kind of like, hey, how you doing? And if there was nothing there, I'm like, I'm out, bye. Yeah. So like I wouldn't say I was like frightened of women, but I was just like I wasn't a go-getter, so to speak. But I was obviously lonely.
Yeah,
we all were.
I mean,
jerking off into a petri dish every other week.
Oh yeah, trying to test samples, see where the strong boys are.
Preserve my children.
Did you? So Adam, when you were younger, were you at all confused about the process? Because speaking personally, I was desperate for any kind of feedback. I just like, tell me what I'm doing wrong, which is something you can't really ask. So I can like figure out what parts of me are broken, so that I can finally attract a woman. So that I can.
That's like a level of consciousness that I don't think I even.
No one has it.
I didn't have until like a year ago.
Really?
Well, it's weird. It's weird, and this may be a Lawrence thing, but you think that the issue is only ever with you.
Well, yeah, that was a point I was going to get to.
But romance and dating is a two-way street. You're dealing with two very complex things that are trying to figure out if their gears match metaphorically and literally. And so when you're constantly taking it introspectively and saying, how did that interaction go and what did I do wrong, so that way the next person can go, it's like the next person is going to be different, you know?
Yeah.
You just need to figure out. I've always said, and I don't have a lot of dating experience, I don't know that I was necessarily like sitting there like, oh no, please notice me or whatever. Like, I don't know, I was like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Yeah. Like, I wasn't necessarily confident in who I was, but I think I was doing pretty well for someone who was like 15 or 16. And like, I was pretty good about going, I'm living a good life right now. We'll see how things pan out over the next 10 years, but I'm living a good life right now. And I'm doing things that make me happy. But it's just to know that these experiences are supposed to help you figure out how you're going to become a more confident person. And then ultimately when things work out, you know how to present yourself to someone so that way they can accurately decide whether or not they want to be with you. And then hopefully they'll be giving you the same kind of reception, and then you can determine if you want to be with them.
I was like, middle school and high school were weird because it was always sort of like an unspoken thing for me. It wasn't like, let's fill out the paperwork and, we are now dating. It was like, it just sort of happened. It was like one day you're just kind of holding hands with a different girl, and then like you get tired of each other, and then you're like, all right, moving on, and like that was it. It was weird. It was like being in a relationship is really weird when you're young because you don't really do anything other than like maybe you hang out. If you hang out after school, it's like whoa, next level.
It's
crazy.
Weird. It's weird because all of my early, it's not even dating, but all of my like early girlfriends or whatever from like elementary school were formal processes.
You have to write the note, yes, no.
It was very formal. Or her friend would come to you and go, "This person wants to be your girlfriend. Do you consent?" And then you would go, "I do." And then you go to like behind the slides, and then there would be like a witness from either side, and they go, "Together you are now girlfriends." And then the two of you would high five and then not interact for the rest of the day. Yeah. You know, like you'd like, all right, I need to go home and write a note so that way I have a note to give them tomorrow.
I think I had like a girlfriend or whatever in middle school, like at the beginning of the day, and then we were broken up by the end of the day. Like it was one of those where it's like, I think we had like danced once at a school dance that we had. And I was like, wow, I really like that girl. And the next day we're like, yeah, we're pretty cool. And by the end, she's like, I don't think we can be together. I'm like, okay. Like that was it.
The formality of that is really funny to me. Because like with me, it was like, oh, we just stopped talking to each other or something. Like you'd go a couple days, be like hanging out, holding hands. And then the next day, you just wouldn't see each other. And that would be the end of it.
Well, there was a situation with me where shortly before summer break, it was like, I thus decree that you shall be boyfriend and girlfriend. And I was like, cool. You know, she always seemed cool all year. Seemed cool, so that's cool that we're boyfriend girlfriend now. And summer break happened, and I'm like, I don't own a phone. I don't own a car. That's the end. Like that's the end of it. And then I came back the next year. I came back like, at the end of the next school year, and then one of her friends was like, "Just so you know, you guys are broken up because you didn't talk to her all summer." And I was like, "Yeah." I don't. Yeah,
she never gave me a phone number.
I assume that was the case.
But to your point, Lawrence, what I feel like is happening, this I think plays into the Aziz Ansari thing, which is, from what I understand, a very somewhat private thing that it's just, it's the information age we live in right now where it's like, you're kind of just putting everything up there. People are just Snapchatting and live streaming their sex lives and stuff. It's like, it's just everything's out there, which is weird, but I guess that's just sort of what it's becoming. So yeah, relationships are really awkward when you're young. And I think for a lot of people when you're older, because maybe sometimes you don't mentally mature or physically mature, or I think that it's been the same, I think, for years and years, but maybe it's a bit more public now that, people are awkward in relationships. And then
I mean, why else would Tinder and all that shit exist if people weren't awkward, getting older and being lonely?
And I'm glad we're skipping up a bit. I mean, as much as schoolyard romance is delightful, I feel like there's more value to be gained in the like 20s era. Because that's when it starts to get really fucking complicated, when you have to sort of merge your own. Oh, real quick. I also found these weird videos. So gentlemen watching, direct your attention to the lower left, because there are subliminal videos on YouTube that will hype you up and turn you into a sex magnet.
This could work for women too.
I hope so.
Was there some nips there? I can't. There might be man nips, and it's going so fast that I think I'm seeing.
Wait, what is this supposed to do?
This will subliminally train you to be a alpha male, so that you will then be able to bang all the ladies you want.
What if you keep looking at the dude that pops in twice on the left? What does that say?
Yeah. How ripped is he?
Yeah. Ooh, nice shirt.
Yeah.
But to all your point, the awkwardness is something that I wanted to address, because being reared on media, there is no awkwardness, and even then the narrative that it tells you is busted. There's this idea that once two people who are fated for each other find each other, there may be some external circumstances that get in the way, maybe a misunderstanding or two, but their relationship is usually like supposed to be windswept and perfect. Essentially, it's like they were made for each other, so there's no awkwardness, there's no difficulty communicating, there's none of that stuff. And oddly, particularly with Aziz Ansari, he with his show tried to depict actual relationships and how messy and broken they can be, how awkward, how communication can be really holy fuck, this is distracting.
You can stop at any time.
Well, there's actually like whole playlists of this stuff. It was a weird hole to fall down.
It's frightening.
This is some weird like alpha male like buy powder to get testosterone or something. Ugh.
So
I feel like I'm gonna be pre-programmed now to shoot somebody.
It's like, bro, let's go watch some Entourage later. What?
Well, it's I think it speaks to a uniquely male idea that you can. Oh, Jesus, doing it again.
Yeah.
That you can perform a set of moves. You can operate a relationship as though it's a machine and arrive at the same result no matter what. Like a relationship is not like fixing a car. And furthermore, to think about it that way, Oh, I am vibration alpha male.
I always think of the self-help tape Carl gives the super spore from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I don't even remember that episode. It's the one where it's like he sounds kind of like Japanese, but they put the little helmet on him and they were trying to teach him English, and everything he's learning is like you have nice dress, look better on my floor, and it's just like it's all about like how to make the woman yours. And it's just like, God, I love Aqua Teen.
Yeah. So in the interest of maybe destroying this conception of a good relationship or of good dates, I'm at least, and I invite you guys to do so as well at your discretion and at your comfort. Jesus Christ, it's going again. Man, I'm getting programmed over here. Share some of my horrible dates, or at least just asynchronous dates, I think is how I describe them, where the two people aren't on the same level, and sometimes that's just how it goes, and it's not that that's anyone's fault is another weird thing to get to. So let me see here. Oh yeah, so one of the first times I can recall, so maybe a bit of backstory. So it's no surprise that I've had like self-esteem issues for a while. I feel like a lot of people probably do in their own way. Anyway, after going through like the entirety of high school without any dates or any attention from women, at least the ones that I was paying attention to or would acknowledge, which is pretty shitty in retrospect. I basically was developing a complex. Essentially, I didn't feel attractive. I was also crazy overweight and had mounds of personality flaws. But to me, that doesn't matter if you've been told that all you have to do is not be the worst individual and you'll eventually get a woman or get a date. So I needed that validation, but it wasn't coming partially because I needed it. But I remember I went on a double date with a friend and his girlfriend, and I was like, I had a crush on some other girl, so my head was just not there, even though some part of my brain, when I picked her up in my shitty car, I was like wearing a nice suit because we were going to go see West Side Story at Bass Hall in Fort Worth. Very exciting. Anyway.
Jeez, you just kill yourself.
Yeah. The show was pretty good.
Did you at least have a towel for the seat?
No.
Oh, okay.
And I think some of the springs were
Towel
poking through.
for your car seat?
Well,
for her when she gets
West
crazy
Side
wet.
Story when she sees all those tight pants dudes dancing around.
Yeah.
There were a lot of tight pants dudes. So I picked her up. We drove, and like, it's weird because in retrospect, all the pieces were there. But at the time, I was so fucking stupid, I couldn't realize it. Since my mind was fixed on something else, I accidentally did the one thing that everyone always tells you to do, which is be yourself. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't pretending. I was just sort of talking to her like she was a person, because being young and male, when I didn't see her as a sexual object, I saw her as a person, which is real shitty. But there's a phase that a lot of dudes go through where, sex is a conquest, or it's something that you have a hunger and you just basically want to consume it. So it's kind of like a sandwich, which is shitty, but this is me being honest. So yeah, we talked and we were like getting along pretty well, went through the entire show. The entire time my mind was transfixed with this other girl that I had a stupid obsession with. Drove her home, dropped her off. Everything was perfectly fine. I was like, that was a cool night, but it wasn't with the person that I wanted it to be. And then like a couple of days later, a friend of one of my friends, she was friend of friend, told me that like, yeah, she really enjoyed her evening and she was disappointed that you didn't like go inside with her. And like that, I was not prepared for that information at all, because I was like 19, still hadn't gotten laid, still super awkward, had the car with the spring poking through the seat. And to be told that like when I wasn't trying or wasn't like working my A game, even though I didn't have that somehow at that point, that was when I got the validation I was looking for. But also at the same time, my brain rejected it because it thought it wasn't supposed to get it that way. So here I had evidence that no, a girl actually did like you and probably wanted to spend the evening with you. But my brain just like rejected it because it was an outright contradiction to all the rules that I thought I had learned about dating and relationships.
You can also dispel the myth that getting laid once magically makes you Mr. Cool.
That's absolutely true.
It's like, first time I have sex is weird. You're like, I mean, maybe not for, cool guys over here, but
yeah.
I just remember like, I didn't flip a switch the next day and been like strutting down the hallway, like, check me out. I was just like, I'm not sure what I was doing was right. I don't know. I was just doing what the porno showed me.
Yeah, where do you think you got all your rules from, Lawrence? From movies and TV?
Absolutely, from media.
From like actual movies and TV, or like Adam said, like pornography and stuff?
Oh, no, I didn't have porn. I love Jesus way too much. Also, didn't have barely internet. Like, I got internet when I was like 16, which means that's when I learned what female genitals looked like and how sex works. So that was pretty late in the game.
That's wild. Your parents never gave you the book, like, here's my body and how is it changing or whatever?
No, they love Jesus a lot.
Jesus hates puss.
Jesus hates puberty.
He forsakes the puss.
Kids are gonna bang. What are you gonna do? Can't stop it.
Well, I mean, I think building on kind of that, there's an inherent flaw in most people's thinking that I think precedes media. I think the media is just a reflection of it. It's a cultural thing that's existed for thousands and thousands of years, that a relationship is something you get or acquire, which is never the case. And I think in your specific example, disregarding probably your other neuroses and what have you, and that like those things fell to the wayside when you weren't even thinking about it. A relationship is supposed to be two people that enjoy each other's company, that you kind of just get to a point where you decide, oh, I enjoy your company the most, thus we're both going to make a mutual decision, maybe not at the same time, but at some point those decisions will line up and we'll decide that we just want to spend time with each other the most.
But how do you even get there? You know, like
I did it slow over time by being yourself and by them being their self and feeling comfortable. And
right. But like, but if you're, I was like Lawrence too, where it was like, you know, you're nervous about doing it. You don't really know what to do or how to do it. And then you're like, how do you get a girl to come and hang out with you, and then you can be yourself for X amount of time until you guys realize you like each other?
I mean, the problem is the getting part.
Yeah.
You think of it as an acquisition when honestly, if you don't spend time around people, that's the bigger issue. If you're so isolated in your own life that you aren't in social circles, meeting new people, catching up with people, conversing with people on a regular basis, and almost even worse if those people are only people that are exactly like you, to say your gender or your race or your creed, your religion or anything like that. Like, you may be severely limiting yourself, but if you just make an effort, the only effort I would say is try and spend time meeting more people and treating those people like other human beings. And along the way, there may be people that, without your necessary intention or goal, you'll discover you really like spending time around. And then you continue to do it. Like, that's just kind of how it'll go. And maybe things will change, and then something will happen, and then it won't continue. But like, that should be a more depicted way of how relationships evolve and happen. There's a perception of, I want to get a girl, I want to get laid, or I want to get a boyfriend, or I want to get married. And getting is not the healthy part of it. Getting it means it's something you don't have.
You should acquire.
And you have to work to acquire, when honestly, if you're yourself and you're socializing, then it's something that just will maybe happen. Yeah. Like,
that part is the hardest part, though, socializing with people, especially as you get older. Like, like when you're young in high school or whatever, you're constantly meeting new people. You're in situations where you meet new people. But like me, I've been single for a long time now, and it bums me out sometimes. And part of that is like social anxieties and stuff like that play into that. But also, I have a job I go to. I have the same group of people that I see every day. I go home, I walk my dog, I do that stuff. Like, I don't have as many opportunities to meet new people to organically build relationships like that.
It's a big reason why a lot of people date in the workplace, because like these are the only people you see, and it's kind of becomes
we
like
only
high
have
school.
white bearded dudes.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think that's part of it though. Like, if you're thinking, I want to get a girlfriend, not you specifically, but someone is thinking, I want to get a girlfriend. That's like saying, I want to invest, or I want to like be able to retire by the time I'm this, and you don't have a job, right? Like, you're 2 steps ahead of the process. There's a whole nother thing, a whole nother phasing of it that you're missing, that is just going to hamper the way you believe this whole thing works.
I can't speak to this because I know everyone's tried different things, but also I think like online dating, I at least feel like has skewed everything in a weird way, only because I've seen people who I know basically deny someone because I don't like the way they look. You're like, wow, that's become insanely superficial.
Yeah,
but where I'm just saying, like, I never did the online dating. It was just I met people, and I've known this for years. Having an online social presence was like, sometimes the photo you put up you may think looks good, but maybe isn't the most flattering, you know?
Yeah.
And to have someone just instantly judge you and go, no, when you're like, hey, you know, I have a great personality. You know, you should tell me that. That's what I always felt like was my strong suit growing up was I never thought I was a good looking guy. I just had a complex. I always thought I was overweight or whatever and thought I was ugly. And I was always like, I'm going to make up for it with my sense of humor. I'm going to make girls laugh. I'm going to be the funny guy.
And then that didn't work.
And that didn't work out either. So I just said, look at my dick.
I think the online dating thing, I would say, and a different perspective, works for different people. I would say that is a form of socialization, but you should treat it similarly. The problem is,
interrupt. James, can you scoot this way?
Yeah.
Real quick?
The problem is the marketing of some of those online dating apps as ways to get women or ways to get guys, right? Like if you thought of it as socialization and the pitch was want to meet people, but you're really fucking busy, then maybe you'd be a little less inclined to swipe off someone that you don't find attractive. If you go out to a bar with the intention of meeting someone and there's someone that you think is ugly on the other end of the bar, you're not going to go, maybe talk to that girl. You're just going to do that math already in your head. But if your intention is not to get laid, get a girlfriend, just meet people and socialize and kind of have human interactions, then that's not going to hamper you anyway. And then who knows what you can discover about said person or whatever, you know, like, unfortunately, and this is, like I said, it precedes media, but something like Tinder is like, here's a way to get like a girlfriend or here's a way to get a boyfriend. If it was just, you like, are you busy, but you really just want to have conversations with human beings? Like, here's an app where you can do it. These other people are looking to hang out somewhere, you know, and it's not going to be you paying for a location. So pick a place, you'll split the tab in the app afterwards or whatever, like, and then it's just you go and have a conversation with someone. Or let's group. Here's a group of 7. No. Let's all go to a place and do it. I think it'd be way less daunting.
Well, I guess like my question for you, Omar, what's more important, an attractive person or someone who has liked interests?
I mean, definitely like interests.
Yeah.
I feel like a long time
ago.
Like
a rack that won't quit.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, there's always have that one thing.
I was going to say like things, you love your dog, Bender. Like, I don't know, maybe it's something where like, if you volunteered on weekends to like at a dog shelter or something like that, you might meet someone like it's this weird thing. This is just where my mind goes because I feel like the online dating thing is sort of like cheating, but it also, I think at the same time, you're getting too specific and too granular, and then you might end up looking for something too specific and you will never find it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like, I feel like the best relationships are the ones that happen on accident where you just happen to meet someone somewhere and you go, oh, you love dogs? I love dogs. Like, let's walk our dogs on the weekend. And then, you know, let's go see a movie. Let's hang out. And it's not so much of like the original, you know, James moment where it's no longer high school where you go, you are now dating.
Yeah.
The app says you are perfect for each other. It's like, I don't know if that always works. I feel like the more organic stuff is sort of where you need to be, but it's hard if you are stuck in a social hole and it's hard to get out because home is comforting.
Well, yeah, that's exactly how I feel like before. Like, you know, high school, that, you know, those 2 semesters that I went to college, meeting new people, hanging out, like finding like-minded people to do stuff with was easy. But now, like as I'm, and you know, I'm 35 now, my birthday was a couple days ago, like 35, I feel like milestones are starting to be hit for me where I don't meet new people anymore. Like those opportunities don't organically happen for me anymore. And like having to do something, going out of my way is daunting, you know, it's really hard. And like, I don't really even know what to do that kind of stuff. Like,
I mean, I think human nature is just for most people to default find something that's comfortable that you can turn into a routine and then constantly sit in that routine thinking about how much you hate it and how you're stuck in it, right? Like that's just, I think that's human nature. I think everyone does it no matter how good or bad they have it. But you can only change things by breaking it and building new routines until you're tired of that. So, I mean, like kind of like Adam said, it's like it fucking sucks, but maybe, yeah, like not you specifically, but someone has to find something to do to change about the way they go about their day that includes socialization and maybe new socialization. I don't know. We're getting steps away from the relationship aspect that I know you wanted to discuss, but I think there's some hurdles like
you said, it's like 2 steps before the problem.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get frustrated with the prospect of that first initial break in their routine So then they think about the acquisition phase of it, and then it muddles everything up. Personally, so.
Oof. So I'm looking at all these videos, and it's just like,
yeah, they're intense.
Man, the poor mindset of someone to be like, I must acquire this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It will go on my mantle, and it will sit there. You're like, all right, Rivers Cuomo, chill out.
Or the idea that you can shortcut anything. Real quick, what you can shortcut is trips to the store for razors.
Nice.
Yeah, right. I got a good point. I'll get to that in just a minute. But first, this podcast is sponsored by Dollar Shave Club. Certainly when you're getting out in the dating field, be well groomed, please. I guess I've known a lot of people, myself included, who, speaking of being reared on media, grew up with a lot of media basically saying that your greatest virtue is being true to yourself. Do not ever lie and try to pretend to be somebody else. So the way I interpreted that is, when I'm dating, I should just wear the same shit clothes I always do. I should
not shower for 10 days.
Well, I usually showered, but essentially I didn't make any effort to try and be more presentable. And I also, when I was doing online dating, it was the same thing. Please make the effort, because my God, it is appreciated, especially when you consider the other, like that your potential partner might not put the effort out for you. And Dollar Shave Club is one way you can do that. It was a little circuitous, but please shave is essentially what I'm saying, or trim, groom. These fine gentlemen here are all good examples of great beard hygiene. But Dollar Shave Club has more than just shaving accessories. In addition to shave cartridges, they also sell products for your skin, your face, for the shower. They got body wash, they got butt wipes, they got everything.
Have you guys ever used the butt wipes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're fucking awesome.
Yeah, the One Wipe Charlie, it's great. Have you ever had peppermint up in there? Mm.
Oh, man.
Make you feel like a king.
Yeah, smells good.
that slight tingle? Mm.
Yeah, it's great. Refreshes you. Now's a great time to give Dollar Shave Club a try. You can get a starter pack with all of those products. They got body wash, the wipes, cartridges, shave balm, all that stuff for just $5. $5 for a complete array of hygiene and beauty products. Even if you're a dude, please make the effort to look nice when you go outside. And you can get that by going to dollarshaveclub.com/dude. Once more, that's dollarshaveclub.com/dude. $5. Experiment a little bit. Make yourself pretty. I promise you'll enjoy it. It's okay to feel pretty. It's okay to feel nice. Just shave a little bit. Well, thank you, Dollar Shave Club, for the sponsorship. Hopefully it'll help all of you guys get your game tight. A brief apology to the people watching live. The YouTube videos apparently were blaring raunchy techno. Since I have the speakers turned down here, I didn't hear it. So I'm sorry about that. But it's muted now. Should all be good. We could see this eagle flying around to teach us to be alpha males. Omar, I empathize thoroughly with where you're at. When I graduated college, I got a job, and it was in programming, so there weren't a whole lot of ladies to chat up. So I tried online dating, but
that's the problem. We need to change that. Again, two steps ahead.
Oh, no, sure. I'm just saying
ladies,
the process.
get the programming.
It was a process I went through.
Make me a robot.
Yeah, I have to say that I want, as a brief aside, that is behavior that makes no sense to me. Lonely dudes who then, the second there's a woman around that remotely shares any of their interests, they scream them out of the room. To me, as near as I can tell, it's some cognitive dissonance bullshit where you tell yourself you're lonely because women don't like these things. And then when you see one that does, she must be fake, because it is evidence that what you told yourself isn't true, which means you have to then realize that you're lonely because you're maybe not the best person in the world, but you don't want to acknowledge that. So instead you just attack the insurgent information.
Well, it's confidence problems, right? Like, instead of being confident, be like, hey, there's a cool person. It's like, oh, I don't want to be like, I don't want this person here anymore because it makes me nervous.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And all those factors kind of play into the process that I had to go through after I graduated college and started trying to date, at least. So I made an online profile, and it was horrible. I tried to accentuate the most attractive features about myself, which is my mind. So I wrote like a 5-page thesis on dating, and lo and behold, it attracted nobody, because who wants that? I don't even want that. So I basically had some good friends of mine read the profile and give me some honest feedback, which I initially rejected. Part of that whole thing of like, I can't acknowledge that I'm wrong about anything. Still have trouble doing it. Oh yeah, thank you for the.
Sorry, we're going back in time.
Yes, for the. I never fedoraed, thank God, but I was probably pretty close at some points. But once I changed my profile around to be a lot less aggressive,
The fedora's coming off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're transforming. Wow. Once I realized that I was basically putting the onus of validation on everyone that I approached in any romantic way, which is a really shitty thing to do. And I didn't even know I was doing it. But once I realized I did that, then I went on some self-discovery crap, did some long walks at night, thinking through some things, admitted to myself the self-esteem problems I had. And as soon as I did that, it became very easy to like honestly acknowledge them and then deal with them and become a more like, I guess, more realized human being. So I wrote another profile that was much less never talk to me, essentially, was the undercurrent of the previous one.
You don't happen to still have these profiles, do you?
Oh.
That'd be fun.
So
it just says I'm rich.
It would have been a lot. It was always on OkCupid, and I've since deactivated my account. The problem is
still there though.
I mean, the most recent one is, but this is like 4 or 5 revisions ago.
Yeah.
This is an ex-wife has fallen in the path.
Well, are you saying this is? I think you might be hitting on something that like I feel like is sort of the core. Is that I don't want anyone to feel like we're telling you need to be in a relationship to be happy, because that's not getting a thing will not make you happy. This is what rich people always say with like, I have millions of dollars and I'm depressed. It's like getting stuff is not happiness. Being happy with yourself is happiness. Like being okay with who you are. Like focus on you first. You're that like educate yourself, make yourself healthy. If it makes you happy, things that legitimately bring you happiness and make you feel good about yourself.
Is that a fire tiger?
Yeah, it's a cool magma tiger.
It's so interesting to see what people
Dragon Ball,
as manly,
Gears of
powerful.
War. Yeah, or I mean, even that is like
a lot of Tyler Durden.
Yeah, what I've always found fascinating is no one thinks, or rather, I'm going to stereotype based on myself. Young dudes don't typically think about the other person as, I think James has mentioned, being a person. So if you're like, I want to be the dooliest dude ever, I want to be Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War, how many women in the world want to go on a date with Marcus Phoenix?
Well, like the other example I always see, it's sort of the misogynist reply you see with like a John Hamm from, the Don Draper from Mad Men. And I'm sure people say like, he's the man. And it's like, no, he's a shitbag. Yeah. Like he's the worst man. Like he's horrible. He's a womanizer. He's a piece of shit. And like, he even goes through this whole like journey of self-discovery, and it's still kind of a shithead. But I think a lot of people see like Tyler Durden, like that's what I want to be. Like Tyler sucks.
Well, a character specifically designed to be the
antagonist
shit.
of
Even
the movie.
The other one too is like the Christian Bale American Psycho. The Bateman Patrick is like, he was not meant to be put on a pedestal and go, that's the perfect man.
Scarface is like the classic example of that. Like
every
like
fucking Cribs. Like, here's my Scarface poster. It's like, he dies at the end.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Not everyone is there to interpret the media the way it is meant to be interpreted.
I always imagine they got a phone call at the last 15 minutes. Like, I've never seen the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume.
No, but they think that's awesome. He went out in a blaze of glory. That's why they call it Blaze of Glory.
He's consumed by his own greed.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful script written by a cokehead.
He destroys everything that's valuable to him, and
it's weird. I mean, you guys are about. I think you become an adult once you realize all of the lessons that you've absorbed from media and how wrong those can be. As case in point, I recently rewatched Little Shop of Horrors. The Rick Moranis one, not the really old one, which I remember really loving as a kid. And as I was watching it again, I was like, man, this narrative is really odd, because the main character is a doof, and he's pitched as the nice guy, but he never does anything nice. He's just not abjectly terrible. There's Steve Martin plays like a bad boy dentist, who is awesome, and like the movie shows him abusing his girlfriend that Rick Moranis has a crush on. So she is just sort of a wilting flower that deserves to be with the nice guy. But in the movie, he never really actually helps anyone, and he never does anything good. He just never actually does anything evil. So that's sort of and then of course in the end he gets the girl because he was the nice guy. But like it's weird how powerful that sort of narrative influenced me as I was going through my dating, because it told me that as long as I didn't just smack a woman in the face, eventually I'd probably get laid, which is not how it goes at all. Boy, is that not how it goes, especially if you think about it in reverse. Actually, maybe ladies probably have an easier time getting laid. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But yeah, who thinks about it in those terms? It's not really that. Two people want to find healthy, constructive mates to spend their life with. None of that is really reflected in something so trivial as, oh, he doesn't beat me. So
the question is, what is your relationship based on? Is it a physical attraction? Because that's fleeting. Is it being in the moment? Is it having this like hot and serious relationship? That's not going to last. It's like,
it's fun to have fun though.
There's nothing wrong with having fun. I'm just saying, if you're in it for the long haul, if you're looking for something to be with somebody, you have to ask yourself, like, am I okay if this person is in a vegetative state, but they can still communicate with me through blinking, and it still makes me laugh?
Whew.
Like, I'm just saying though, like that's a question to consider. Not that's probably a little too extreme, but
yeah, geez,
it's just like, can we entertain each other just by sitting on the couch? You know, will we make each other happy doing simple things? Is it a relationship that is just burning on both ends? You know, and it's always balls to the wall. Like, is that? That's not.
Yeah, but those aren't decisions you have to make right away. In fact, those aren't things where you should ever. By the moment you sit down and have to answer that question, you should have already answered it a long time ago.
I'm just going to the Seymour query with Lawrence. That entire relationship is built on a giant death-eating, or a human-eating plant.
Yeah.
Now that the plant's out of the situation, the fire's gone.
Like Speed.
She's just going to find another bad boy dentist after she realizes, oh, this guy was only good that one moment when he killed the plant. And then Seymour's going to be trying to find future plants, and now it's just sad.
It's Seymour 2 or whatever.
Is there Seymour 2?
Seymour 2 was the plant.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're both Seymour. That's right.
Yeah.
Feed me.
Oh yeah. So I'll continue my revision of OkCupid's story because it eventually led me to a woman that I married, and that fell apart. But what you gonna do, man? Do you want to talk about nth level weird relationship stuff? Just to skip ahead a bit, having to make yourself okay with the fact that a relationship you thought you'd be in for the rest of your life just fizzled and fell apart, and it wasn't anyone's fault, and there's nothing anyone could have done. Well, maybe there was something, but to deal with self-esteem in a void is difficult. To reconstruct self-esteem after it has been smashed in real life is a whole other thing. But that's beyond the scope of this conversation. So I revamped my OkCupid profile, made it a little less fedora. Messaged some people. Mostly it's like, I just want a girl who's into video games because that's what I really like. So that's what I looked for in the profile. I would see the photo, but that didn't matter so much as the list of activities because I'm like, I'm just going to sit inside and play video games most of the time. If I can't do that with her, it's not going to really work out. So I found a girl, pretty cute, into video games, messaged her. And I remember that process feeling so much different because I wasn't writing the messages with any desperation anymore. I was like, you know what? I can sit here and play video games by myself if I need to. That's fine. I've been doing that for years. But it'd be cool if somebody else was here. If you want to be that person, that's cool. If not, that's fine too. Lo and behold, I started getting dates like pretty quickly. Turns out people can tell when you're a weird, emotionally needy creep and when you're not.
Okay.
Well, you had made a conscious decision to be yourself.
Yes.
And take stock in what you actually find to be a personal value of yourself, right? And the things that you want. It's like having a savings account, right? Like, you always want to have a rainy day fund. Your rainy day fund is your own personal self-worth. So someone may have gone through what you went through with your divorce and come out of it with nothing. Like, not financially. I'm talking about, like, with nothing. They would have gone into that hole because it's a black hole and it'll suck you in. And they would have come out with nothing. And then but you honestly probably, I don't know how you feel about it, but it seems like you came out as a stronger person because I think you were able to tap into some of the self-worth that you had saved up over time.
Had been ignoring previous to that, probably.
You don't have to, but the thing is, when you're with someone you enjoy being with, you don't have to tap into it at all. You just keep throwing, every single month you throw a little bit more into the savings account, you feel better and better about your life. But then when things go south, you have this bucket of things that you can go into to get through the hard times.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's like the guy who rents the Ferrari for the date. He picks her up. He's like, "Wow, pretty impressive." He goes, "That's right." Then what do you do after that? You
get laid and then you never call her again.
I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure that's the end game.
Oh, I guess that is it.
Yeah,
Sorry, I guess I wasn't
getting laid.
Sorry, I'm not thinking like one of these YouTube videos you keep playing.
Getting laid is different than getting a relationship.
Devil May Cry.
Acquiring, becoming, getting into, being in a relationship. You know.
But I think that all ties together though, because to slightly tie it back to the Aziz thing, there was a situation where one person wanted one thing and the other person didn't want that thing, and the situation got muddled. But if you know what you want going into a relationship or even a date or just talking to someone at a bar, and you can tell that they want that thing too, then it's all fine. Consent is the name of the game. The problem is when somebody misrepresents what they want. And oftentimes, I think that happens without that person even knowing it.
Yeah, they don't understand what they want.
Exactly. Yes. And that's when it gets creepy. So ideally, everyone knows what they want before they start to pursue it. But humans are so complicated.
It's the surprise and delight thing we all like so much. It's like, if James would just say that one thing I want him to say, I would feel so good. But it's like, you know,
can't tell me to say it.
I know exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying though.
Even if he did.
Oh, right. Well, maybe James isn't a good example, but the thing of like, it's a thing Jess and I like took us years to kind of figure out in our relationship where we had to sit down and go, we need to just be open with each other. If something's bothering one of us, just say it because it's going to fester. And if we like something, like hammer that home. So like if someone likes hearing a certain thing, let them know. I feel really good when you say that. And I think it's so much easier for us to be closed off and just expect the other person to be a mind reader and then be upset when they're not. And honestly, you don't want a mind reader because they're going to be poking around in there and they'll do weird things to you. I've been to Vegas.
Well, I mean, part of that too goes back to what Lawrence said a couple of steps ago, which is one of like the biggest lessons I ever learned is like being okay with yourself and understanding what you want out of life by yourself. Like depending on another person to do those things is what makes most relationships unhealthy, right? And then you break up with somebody and you go through that black hole and all this stuff and you come back, hopefully learning the lesson that I need to be able to do all of these things on my own before I can expect somebody else to do them with me. And like I was 23 or something when my last like super long-term thing, I had a girlfriend for 7 years. Up to that point where I was like somewhere in my mid-20s, I forget where we broke up, and it was real fucked for me for a really long time. And then you come back and you're like, okay, this is me, this is what I want. And then you can take that and be like, I don't care if you do this or that. Go do your thing. I'm gonna go do my thing. We'll meet up later. Cool, you know, like.
Yeah. What I'm, Adam, to your point, and Omar slightly to yours, I feel like this notion that the right person will just know is another thing that comes from media, because in all ways the perfect relationship is usually depicted as, oh, they just know what I want and I don't have to tell them. They're there at the right time, they say the right thing
because there's a script telling them what to do.
Yes, and then that's the thing, you know, real people aren't that way. I think it's possible for people to be on a wavelength and understand each other, but I think it's ridiculous to assume that two humans can form a relationship that should last for any amount of time and not communicate some very basic things. And I feel like that's another one of those things that you sort of assume based on the nice stories you're told about love and relationships as you're growing up, and then at some point has to be shattered. And there are a lot of younger relationships that fall apart because there's a lot of assumptions about communication, especially like, I mean, even sexual ones, which relates back to the Aziz story. And also a lot of the ensuing discussion is a lot of dudes are like, oh, so what, I have to ask, like literally ask every time I do anything now? And a lot of ladies are like, yes, actually that would be really nice, because apparently a lot of dudes take a lot of liberties. But there's this assumption.
Weinsteins of the world. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, there's this assumption that asking robs passion, of like stopping down and being like, yo, is this okay? Or is it okay if I stick it there? Whatever. There's this, I mean, it is awkward, absolutely. But these were also the same arguments that people threw around about condoms, where it's like, oh, if I have to stop, it's less passionate. I think if two people are willing to bone, they're willing to wait through putting on a condom, and they're willing to wait through a small, maybe slightly awkward conversation about what's about to happen, and are both people okay with it?
Well, also it's weird. Sex is a massive spectrum. Sex can be someone grinding on your dick, right? Until you come in your pants. Boom, I had sex, right? Like for some people that's sex. For other people, like, oh, I'd much rather take it up the butt than I'd give you a blowjob. Like it's different. People have different spectrums for the spectrum of sex, and like to make sure everyone's clearly at least within the same color radius would be nice. Yeah, I think
at least from my perspective, it's always should be never do harm to the other person. But then there are some relationships people like to be harmed, and that's not for that. That kind of goes to the Aziz Ansari thing, where I'm like, I understand people have kinks. I am not really one of those people. I'm a pretty old-fashioned guy that's like pretty vanilla, like maybe swip
head down on the kitchen table.
Yeah, you know, just put on the saddle and ride her home. You know, 4 to 5 hours later, you're done.
Sore and dehydrated.
But it's like, I always feel like I'm not in a place to judge two consenting adults who do one thing. But now what we're seeing is people saying, now in hindsight, that was awkward. And it's like, that happens in a lot of relationships, and I understand that. But I don't, with the Aziz Ansari thing, I don't think anything's going to accomplish what that person had sought out to be accomplished. I think it just sort of, for me at least, it opened up a window and just saying, wow, yeah, sex is awkward for a lot of people. Weird. A lot of people do weird shit. Way weirder than I do.
I think there's a conversation about what you believe to be your perception of something you need to constantly recalibrate with the rest of the world and the people around you. I think there's value in that, you know, like, and this goes for anything. This goes for sex. This goes for relationships, goes for politics, it goes for religion. It goes for walking down the street. Like, sometimes take a minute and go, like, does my perspective, is that in tune with the people that are being directly affected? And I think there's value in that. You know,
that's the ultimate human value that a lot of people don't have.
It's right? It's what human beings, in all of everyone's defense, it's what human beings are probably the worst at.
Empathy?
It's not empathy. It's just comparing your perspective of the world with everyone else's, and then trying to figure out if there's cohesion there, and then how to resolve that cohesion in a way that involves the least number of people being upset by it.
I would say politics is like the number one thing I always feel like, where someone goes, that person disagrees with me, fuck them. And it's like, well, think about it from their perspective, and then maybe you could have a mutual understanding.
But the thing is, generally the way it goes is someone goes, that person agrees with me, I'm right. But all you did was you just kept scrolling until you found the person that agrees with you, you know, or something like that. So
the bias confirmations of the world.
That's what societies are. Sociology is just constant measuring of how that works. So it's natural human inclination, you know. That's just how these beasts are designed. But if you want to step out of the jungle.
Well, watching these testosterone videos playing at 30 frames a second that Lawrence keeps playing, I'm learning that I need more of a leader, less of a follower.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that shit.
Yeah.
Well, people talk about toxic masculinity. I think whether it exists or not, I'm not here to get into that debate. All I can say is that for me personally growing up, there were certain traits that were perceived as purely good. Being a leader, purely good. Being attractive, purely good. Being able to, like, that James Bond sense where you can talk to anyone and have them fall in love with you, that the idea that is entirely in your control.
Charisma.
Exactly. Yes. That's something that took me a while to sort of rid my brain of, because once that idea is implanted, then suddenly it's your fault when you're not attractive. And I'm sure a lot of human beings feel that way. It's probably not just a dude thing. I'm sure it's not. I've heard a lot of ladies say the same. But once you sort of dismiss that guilt or that judgment, then suddenly things become a lot easier. It becomes a lot easier to see yourself and your value and what your actual problems are, in addition to your virtues. And I hope that is ultimately the takeaway we can get out of that article. I don't know what its agenda was, other than some lady to say that I had a bad evening and I want people to know about it. Also, the timing of it's a little odd. I think it was based on the fact that he won a Golden Globe. So the lady in question was like, this is so hard for me to watch. I have to tell my story. Fine, whatever. But I think personally, having no information or guidance or no one to bounce off of growing up, all I had was media. Hopefully talks like this, or even hard rules like you have to ask every time. Hopefully stuff like that can make the process a little smoother for other people.
Yeah, even if it's not asking every time, it's like, and I think this is something that happened with that article. I think every single dude who's ever been with a woman went, like, they stopped and they went, like, could an article, like, not necessarily this article, but could anything be written about me based off any of the actions that I took throughout my entire life, no matter how boring and how lame? Like, I'm a virgin. Did I you have to, like, I think it kind of made everyone do that. And I don't think that it should be a shock to do that, but I think if you get into that pattern of behavior where you don't necessarily feel shame, but you actually are willing to do that,
like self-reflection
and just think how your actions can affect those around you. Again, not necessarily related to sex or relationships, in life. Like, I think there's value in that. The problem is when you make it seem like we're gonna get you for it. I think you're less likely, like, if it's a gotcha thing, it feels like you're less likely you're gonna walk away. You're gonna immediately get defensive and go like, no, like she was totally cool, like, kind of thing. Like, that's again a human reaction.
Well, yes. I was just thinking now of, like, I always hate the journalist perspective, where you have an interaction with someone, you talk to them, hey, how you doing? Oh, good, you know, blah, blah. And they write an article about you or something, and it's like, his beady eyes struck me.
Yeah.
His idiotic grin lingered, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I just said hi.
Yeah.
It's called storytelling.
I know. Well, that it's the freaking harmonics, the polygon thing, like
cream puff.
Yeah, the appetizers dripped upon the plate, and there's some dude who had a couple, tall boys, like, I'm having a great time. This is good. And there's the analytical D-bag.
I mean, that the thesaurus open on the side to make sure all
that happens to us every single day, and every single comment on every single thing where someone implies something. And I think that's a moment where you have to go, you do those self-reflection, and then you do take stock of like, no, I was fine.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a shortcoming of the person who made that accusation. They did not take a minute. And
and understanding, like, make sure your perspective is correct. Like, you think it's fine, but like, still acknowledging other people's perspective. Like,
this is what the article reminded me of. I've seen those moments where it happens with us. We're in our little weird bubble, but like an event like RTX or PAX, where people wait in line to meet you, and for us the interaction is hi, okay, picture, bye, nice to meet you. Sometimes someone talks to you, but then like you'll see a post on like a Tumblr or something of like, my father had passed or was dying of a disease, and they just didn't acknowledge it, and it's like, you didn't say anything. Right, but you should have known.
Yeah.
And then they get mad at you for reading it because that was
my private thoughts posted publicly on Tumblr. And I tagged you.
You're just ripping your hair.
How dare you?
Yeah, but human beings are complex things. Yep. If you take stock in yourself and you have that that savings account, you read something like that and you go, nah, I think I'm good. Yeah. Like I think I was okay there. Yeah. And I'll try and consider that person's perspective, but I'm not going to go cut myself tonight because of what happened to that person's parents. And also, I would say in human beings' defense, maybe more specifically of human beings, our community, most people are more inclined to say something to the opposite, where it's like, I was actually going through something. Yeah. I didn't mention to them to anything, but they were just genuinely nice. Everyone was so kind, and it just allowed me to walk away feeling better about everything.
I was not citing an example.
No, I know.
Our community has actually always been really good. I've just read other things where they're like, I met Stanley and it was the worst thing in the world. It's like, dude's got dementia.
Never meet your heroes.
He's gone. Yeah. Also, we shouldn't be your heroes ever. We're just some dudes.
Yeah, it's just perspectives.
And you guys missed it at lunch. I got noticed at the old restaurant. Guy said, Miles, I'm a big fan.
Oh, cool.
I watched a lot of Red versus Blue.
That's awesome.
And then as we're walking out to Bruce, he goes, later, Adam.
Wait.
It was perfect.
Yeah, somebody sent me a message about like doing something with charity, and I've been trying to kick up those conversations a little more. And then he was like, yeah, you could come by and even bring your wife Jess, and maybe Bruce could come. And I'm like, who
do you think I am?
You didn't get the names right.
You should do it.
I should, yeah. What's Jess doing this weekend?
You should just...
I think we're... Yeah.
Rent a full-size bear costume, show up and go, this is who you asked for! You had no fucking idea, did you?
But speaking of getting a comely young lass back to your apartment, you want to make sure you're equipped.
I think we just took 10 steps back.
I did. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm talking about Adam's wife. There's no link there.
If you want to sleep soundly, knowing that your personal stock is healthy and
Adam,
vesting.
see if you can ring toss it on my head from over there.
Yeah, sure.
Adam's gonna try to fedora me up. Whoa. Okay.
Bit of an overshot.
Well, I think the brim on that fedora catches a little more wind than you might think. Anyway, Casper is sponsoring this podcast. They make mattresses. You can have sex on them. But they're new wave tech mattresses. I've had my Casper mattress for like 3 years now. The thing that I find impressive is it's not getting the lumps, man. It's still holding shape. At this point, this is about when there'd be a chasm about the width of my body developing in my mattress, which typically, it has been comfortable in the past, and then I get back issues, so it's not all good, but Casper is awesome. It's made out of some like latex memory foam hybrid. It's new tech. It's breathable. It's not hot. I always get hot when I sleep, so it's been nice having something that breathes a little bit. And you know what? It's American. So at the end of your successful date, when you're going to town, you can have sex on something made right here in the USA. And that's the best sex you'll ever have. And they have a 100-night return policy. The idea being that you're not going to figure out how a mattress feels just by laying on it for a few minutes or even one night. So they give you 100 days or 100 nights to try it out. And if you don't like it, you can return it. So it's kind of a risk-free trial kind of thing. You can get $50 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/dudesoup and using code dudesoup at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Once more, that's $50 on select mattresses by going to casper.com/dudesoup and using code dudesoup at checkout. I recommend it thoroughly. Every night is a dream for me. Yeah, that's right.
Because you have a mirror.
Yes, I get to see myself.
That's me sleeping with me. Good night, me.
Good night, me.
Yeah.
Well, I had a mind freak, but I'll save it. Sure. So many mind freaks. We got a hard net hard. All right, we got Cat Piano Classics. Everyone knows them and loves them. This one's kind of odd. It's going to take a little bit of explaining. So first up, we'll do Cat Piano real quick.
Make sure that's a good mind freak. I just read it.
Oh, well, thank you, Adam.
I was watching a little bit of that movie last night.
Actually, you know what? I'll get into it. Fuck it, because it kind of relates to the topic at hand.
Go for it. I'll talk about Blade Runner all day.
Yeah. So Agent K, the like, bizarrely for being the most non-emotive character in the movie. Spoilers, replicant. But he goes through a narrative arc, which is kind of interesting, that I thought was particularly smart because it's sort of the same emotional process that a lot of young men go through. So again, spoilers, but essentially he has issues about not being special since he's a manufactured living person. He works in a routine that doesn't seem to go anywhere. He just kind of does whatever his boss tells him. He has no meaningful relationships except with a AI hologram lady. That eventually that doesn't end well either. So there's essentially this crush of all of these real world realizations that typically hit someone when they're like 25, of that my life ultimately isn't important because I'm in a world full of people and my actions are not super important. I may have maybe been in a serious relationship that turns out was very superficial or it fell apart faster than I was expecting. So the love that I thought was real was entirely illusionary. And now I have to figure out how to continue existing in this world with all of the value that I had put on my life has just completely evaporated. I thought it was pretty interesting because I've gone through similar feelings where a lot of the things that I thought were important were destroyed or left my life. And it sucks. But I thought it was particularly smart of the movie to have a male character of that age going through an analog of what a lot of humans go through, or some humans, at least I did. So that movie resonated with me pretty well. I thought it also, even through a robot, had a lot of the emotional issues that dudes do when they're humans and growing up.
Do you call them robots or just skin jobs? I don't know, replicants.
You can't say skin jobs, Adam.
Yeah,
that's not your term. But yeah,
that's what they call him. It was really nice. He comes back to work and all the cops are like, "Fuck off, skin job," and he's like, "Yeah."
He's got graffiti on his door and everything.
Oh man. Such a good movie.
It's also the self-imposed exclusionism. Because being a nerd, I'm like, oh, everybody hates me, but I'm true to myself, so therefore I'm the good guy. Like a lot of that invented narrative is also sort of reflected in the movie. It's not necessarily that Agent K thinks he's awesome because everybody hates on him, but that's certainly how I reconstituted any negative feedback I got from the world.
It's about feeling special and then realizing you're not.
You made negative feedback turn into you feeling good about yourself? Is that what you just said?
Sort of. I used it to empower myself. So people would, dudes would tease me or bully me with, I think, the intention of you have to conform. Essentially, you are acting way too weird and you get way too excited about video games. So we're just going to razz you about that to sort of give you the social feedback that you should not do that so much. To me, that was oh, they're just bullying me. So I'm going to double down on being that nerd because to change would be to abandon what makes me special and all that stuff. So I used negativity or any kind of antagonism to double down on my way of life, which is not the smart thing to do.
Okay, so in all, it was a negative thing.
Yes, it was a bad behavioral pattern that I had to eventually break myself of. So I guess we'll get on into hard netting. Or I don't know if you guys have any lingering topics of.
I feel like there's one aspect of that whole thing that we didn't totally talk about, but we danced around.
Sure,
is going out and meeting new people and how and the anxiety a lot of people have now with talking to people because they think they're going to offend somebody right away, and how you get over that, going to a bar and walking up to somebody and not being felt as you're attacking them in their safe space or whatever. And a lot of all of the things that we said all apply. It's if you be yourself and not some crazy asshole trying to do having this crazy agenda of getting laid right then, they're not going to feel attacked. You're not going to feel attacking, and
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like approaching a stray dog. If you're approaching the stray dog, how they can sense
Yeah.
You know, I'm not
the implications
this is
of
just
that,
like
but
humans. Like I think humans can get a sense of like, what's this person like? What are they doing?
Why are they dancing towards me?
Why are they coming towards me like this? What are their intentions? But if you just are like, oh, a dog, and you go to do it, you're only going to get bit if something's wrong with the dog, not wrong with you. You know, like I don't know.
I will. Like, the thing I've read, because I have like social anxiety issues too, and like I've read things online of like how to do well in a social setting, and like the thing I've learned, it's the common thread is just ask questions. Don't make it about you.
That's true.
The number one conversation killer. So Omar, I'm like, hey, so what kind of car do you drive? Like, no. You give me an answer.
He's going to conversation.
I'm saying, I'm conversation.
Yeah. So I might drive a Prius.
Oh, that's cool. I drive a different car than you. I love this car. Man, my car is good. I like my car.
You just used Omar as a prompt to talk about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Don't
demonstrate value.
Yeah, it's the don't wait for the person to stop talking just to talk about yourself. Just as an exercise. Hey, if you're having trouble out there.
So Omar, what kind of car do you drive?
Oh, I drive a Prius.
Go on.
Oh, I like it because it goes far with little gas.
Tell me more.
And it looks like a future car.
What color is it?
It is gray.
How many wheels does it have? Where do you live?
The two things I've seen the most are just ask questions like that, like not personal questions, general things, and always like got any vacations coming up? Because then people always want to talk. Like that's a thing people are always like kind of striving.
Well, you
for.
value their lives. You put value into what they have to say.
It's called active listening.
Yeah,
and it's a skill that you have to develop if you don't talk to a lot of people a lot. Yeah. And also, like my point was like, don't be scared to approach people because you think you're going to offend them or attack them or whatever. Like if you're going to be calm and yourself and you're going to talk to them about calm things, they'll either ask you to not talk to them and then you say, okay, sorry, go, and you go away. Or you continue to talk to a person and you figure out whether or not you have anything in common. Like the fear of offending people, I think, gets in the way of a lot of people doing stuff.
Absolutely.
And obviously it's there for a reason because there's people being way too aggressive and stuff. And like, I'm not discounting that. Like women and men too, like they get attacked in a lot of places. They get cornered and stuff like that. Like that's all shitty behavior. But you shouldn't be afraid to offend somebody if you go up and talk to them, if you're in a situation where you're in a public place with stuff like that.
Well, and the act of listening happens even before someone's talking.
Yeah.
People send conscious and unconscious cues that get, and there's loads of studies out there. Typically when a dude's horny, he willingly ignores them, which is not to say he sits down and like, I have a boner. I'm going to ignore all context. It's more of a biological thing. It just happens, which sucks. But if a lady's like sitting in a bar and she's closed up and turned away from people and just like drinking her drink and looking at a TV, she's kind of already demonstrating she doesn't want to be approached. Maybe she's just having her own time. A lot of women aren't waiting for you to walk up and talk to them. Some of them might be. But you can kind of read that and trust your instincts in that regard. And if you can tell that someone is not into talking to you, sometimes they don't have to say go away, but they can say it in a lot of ways. If they're not making eye contact, if they're turning away from you, if you ask them questions and they give very short answers that don't invite more questions or invite conversation, she might be shy, but that's also not your problem. So just move on. That's it. I used to have this hang up of like, oh, but what if she was the one? She's demonstrably not the one because she's not interested in talking to me, but that never really factored into it. So
not now, at least.
Yeah, not yet. Once I come back with the...
It's a time thing. Again, it's not about acquiring or getting.
You're right.
It's time. So I don't know.
Maybe you see her in there the next night and you're a familiar face and she's like, oh, hi. And that's it.
Yep.
And then the next week, because you're going to a place with people, maybe she sees you talking to other people in a normal way. And then the defenses start to come down. But it's not something that you can solve. It's not something for you to solve. It's not a problem to be solved. Just got to be an adjusted person, which sucks. Zikoro is over here tweeting in the comm center. Says, I think that is my problem. I want somebody to tell me I'm doing good, to tell me to ignore that voice in my head that I am worthless because I can't do it for myself. That is a part of me that is hard to change because I always doubt myself. When you doubt yourself and there's no information there to tell you you shouldn't, it kind of keeps happening. So if you're not getting dates and then you're getting a complex about getting dates, that only makes getting a date even harder because then suddenly you have a complex about it and self-esteem issues and you have a need for validation.
It also might change your perspective on what you think is a good and a bad date, which could be even worse because then you go down a path that isn't healthy for anyone.
Yeah. That sounds like somebody who needs to go talk to somebody specifically about social anxiety issues and just stuff. Like
start looking at it, like that's awareness, right?
Yeah.
Demonstrates awareness.
That is step one. Awareness is step one.
Yep.
Yeah. Well said, everybody. So hopefully
we fixed everything.
We solved it.
We're the best.
So we said girl and girlfriend and stuff like that, but it goes both ways.
Yeah. Any human
like being a little gender normative or whatever. But like it goes both ways.
Just speaking from our perspective. Apologies.
Yep.
Love who you love.
Hopefully,
doesn't matter what kind of hole they have.
There you go.
Also know that you're fallible. Like, you can't.
Maybe you are.
You can't get 100% correct in terms of your empathy or your personal perspective every single time. Just to be aware of it and take stock in it and take responsibility for your life.
It's funny. Here's another brief side story. So when I was first hitting up Stephanie on OkCupid, we had initially made a date plan, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm busy at work," and part of my head was like, "Okay, like maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but if you're saying no, that's cool. I don't care." So I just went home and like streamed, and she watched it, and because she was actually working, turns out she was being honest, but she was interested in me, so she was watching that, and for her, seeing me interact with other people was something that made her feel more confident about going on the date. So there was some two dudes who were like getting in a bitch fit in chat, and I was just like, "Hey, stop it!" Like I basically quelled that shit immediately, and that's one of those signals that like I'm not a completely well-developed human, and I'll never be. But that was one of those things where like if I'd reacted to it differently, it may have put her off in any way. But people can perceive your wellness as a human being in a number of ways, and saying the right thing in the right order on a date is not one of them. It is one of them, but it's not the main one. A lot of people think it's kind of to what James was saying, that it's purely about that encounter, and if you nail it, then you win. But life is long and meandering.
It's a dimmer switch.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about what you don't say.
A dimmer switch is a good.
Well said. Well said, everybody. I'm proud of you. You guys are all well-developed men until that article comes out, Adam.
I know.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry.
I've definitely
done
done
what
that.
I did or didn't do.
I wrote it.
I've taken inventory of my past and been like, shit, what can come out?
No.
Luckily not much, because I was inside the whole time playing video games. So
Yeah, you were inside something.
yeah, it was. All right, let's hit net hard. So first up, we got Cat Piano Classics, a little night music for you guys.
It's a cat. It's
Soothing.
a piano. It's a cat.
It's also shaped like a cat.
It's shaped like,
Looks like it's
a
smiling.
cartoon cat with large teeth that are piano keys.
I like the pop music that they do because it's always the lyrics that he does the meows,
Yep.
and not like the music part.
Yeah.
Let me find a good one. Yeah, he did Inner Sandman, which is pretty good. Fear Elise. Your
name.
Getting in there. Eruption. Mermaid Festa Volume 1.
What is this sorted by? Date or popularity?
It's just, let me sort with popularity. I imagine Sandstorm, I'm guessing? What Redbone would sound like if it were a cat piano.
What's Redbone?
I don't know. Apparently I've clicked on it.
We've been down this hole before.
Oh, Childish Gambino song. We have exactly been down this hole.
We did this.
We've done this all before.
Okay. This is because it's been on here for 8 weeks now?
Yeah, it's a reigning champ.
I mean, it's hard to beat.
Sense.
That is a pretty...
Well, what's it going against?
Oh, nice.
What? Oh, you're right. It is always vocals. All right, so this one, I'm going to call this one Hit HD in the lower right. Because he puts that in all of his video titles for some reason.
Well, it's because he wants you to hit the thing, hit the gear.
Yeah,
but it doesn't
HD.
say HD anymore.
But
so
it
did years ago, but his latest upload is 5 hours ago, and it still says Hit HD in the lower right.
What is this?
And then the title of the video?
Oh,
yeah.
So he has the same title for every video?
No, because there's Cricket Match, Marine Service, Call Me, Gayo. Well, here.
What is the theme of this?
It's always all of the videos have in the title Hit HD in the lower right.
Except for some of them.
No, all of them do.
Yeah, some of them
But
just
then
say
after
HD.
that, it changes.
Gotta get it in 10
Yeah,
like
hit
you
HD
said.
on the lower right, Lawrence.
Oh, you gotta watch it.
So what changes now that it's in HD?
It looks better.
Nothing changes.
Oh.
Now the blurriness is intentional.
But he didn't make this video, right? He just stole it?
No, he made them, because he's been doing this for years. All of his videos are essentially just whatever footage he shoots when he's out and about.
Good contender here.
And then he does like weird pans and zooms and filters just over parts of it.
What's his most popular one?
This? Oh, with me? Or with...
I'm pretty sure that it goes back to the cricket. Whoa. And then, oh yeah, there's always a screen of like a title page for a thesis about how dudes like date or something.
Can we see another one?
Yeah, sure. Oh wait, he writes them. Okay, he's selling them. My bad. I just put that together. All right. So let's see what else we got. Holidays, weekends.
What's his most popular video?
Go with oh, you want to see that? Okay, let's see here. Next installment, 720p. Wedding up to 4K. 1 year ago. Okay, well he's been straying from his HD a little bit. I'm guessing this is popular just because the thumbnail implies a man's gonna get mauled by a tiger.
Is that the dude you think?
Yeah, he's in all of his. He's in all the videos. I haven't checked out that URL.
What is happening?
He put the G's on her. Why did he do that?
What's the net part that's hard, other than me?
Well, the editing style is interesting. I like that he's still putting hit HD in the lower right. That's pretty. There's just a dream here, I think, and I don't know.
There's a lot of video left.
I feel like the bummer about this though is he's selling something, right? Like this is all in service to sell something.
Is it?
Well, the man's got to make his dollar.
Oh, real tiger.
How did he rent a tiger?
Wow.
This is very Neil Breen of him.
Yeah, right? Oh. There's no way that's swishing. Oh! Whoa! What's happening? This music is pretty dope, though. Whoa. Tiger versus dinosaur. Oh.
No, it's dinosaur versus dinosaur.
Like that stroke to cover up the green screen line.
There's a narrative here, I'm just not following it.
That was pretty cool. Yo, I gotta wipe off my mouth. Throw me that.
It just feels like a commercial for his clothing line.
His brand?
Well, yeah. Go to the website.
What was it again? Here we go. gjohnce.com. Okay. Please be up.
I think it's
Please
J.
be
Johns.
Up. Oh, of course, timing up to 4K.
Let's go.
He's got a brand to protect, I guess.
It's also not 4K.
Cause you know that it's on. Do 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 do. GJohns.com.
I vote for Piano Cat.
Does Piano Cat do a cover of the G. Johns theme?
.com theme? Not yet, but hopefully soon. He was pretty delighted to get mentioned onto. How did he get a square embed of a YouTube video that doesn't go up to 4K despite the title? G. Johns is an accurate portrayal of the city of Portland and surrounding areas. Everyone on this site is a product of either Oregon or Clark County, Washington, unless otherwise specified. And then Metropolis, just by itself. Thank you.
Oh, so he's
Calibration.
He's not selling anything at all.
First and last name.
What's it about? Oh, there's aesthetics.
Clean. Aesthetics, daily infographs,
Okay.
industry, interviews, text. Well, let's see what the About page says. Ooh. Oh, you can pay for him to appear at your club. $2,000 an hour
For Sunday church service.
0 is for free. This is school.
Oh, for school. That's nice.
Yeah.
Is this an HD video? It is.
Good to see you again. Thanks for coming back. Wanted to tell you a quick story that happened 20 years ago today. A neighborhood called Rosemont in the city of Sacramento. It was a clear blue day, and it just so happened to be the last day of 8th grade. Walking through the neighborhood with a couple of other kids.
Ooh. Wait, he opened them up again. What? No way!
Yeah, I think we're done here. Anyone else?
I want to see where this is going.
Okay.
Is that a real tattoo?
I think at this point we're just
Do you think
stealing
any of
other
it's
people's
real? I don't
videos.
think any of them are real.
It hadn't exactly dawned on us that there was
How
an
to be clean?
appropriate way.
Can I throw in an audible? Remember how Bruce was on PewDiePie's video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
I don't know. That doesn't count.
Do you think he knew that was Bruce?
No, he doesn't know who Bruce is.
I don't think so. Because
He
he called
just
him Bruce
Googled Mad
Green
Lads,
4.
probably.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
because that's what Bruce's
Yeah, it's
Instagram
his-
tags
I
or
know.
whatever.
I'm not sure.
I guess that's netting pretty hard, but
No, that doesn't count.
can't work off that.
Is that a giant vagina mouth right there?
Oh,
Like
cat piano.
Yeah.
No, the second.
Oh, this
the-
Gauntlet
I think
HD.
the act of mad ladding would be hard netting, not PewDiePie looking
Yeah,
at mad lads.
And mad ladding is it's time honored.
No, it's
We all know
it's
mad ladding.
fine. Yeah, no. I'm just saying if mad ladding had come out yesterday,
Are we gonna vote?
Yeah, let's vote. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but let's go anyway. Adam already threw in for cat piano.
1,000 times cat piano.
All right, James, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna go G. John.
Ooh, G. Johns.
I see a lot of potential here, creative potential.
Whoa! Did you see that craziness?
And you don't often see this kind of comedy coming out of the rural side of Portland. So I'm excited for the potential here.
Tanya Harding.
He definitely has a style and a tone that he set up all himself. And I like cutting back and forth between all the different aspect ratios.
And the fact that it's HD. Don't forget that.
Then, yeah.
That's
4K
significant.
For whatever he deems to be HD.
That'll hit your production pipeline pretty hard. All right, Omar, deciding vote. Cat Piano Classics or G. Johns?
I was gonna go G. Johns too.
Oh,
I was leaning
G.
away
Johns.
from it because I thought he was just like it was like a shitty way to sell his like self-help pamphlet or whatever. But the dude's just doing it because he's weird.
He's not helping anybody.
No, he's not helping a single person.
Oh, a
look
car
at
got
all
thrown
the-
at him.
yeah.
Get out of the way, Johns. And now a
That's,
Yeti of some kind?
Well, that car thing that's a phone app. I've seen that before.
No,
that was
none,
like
of,
the
none of this is
Whoa,
this is all real.
This gun got way
Yeah.
cooler. Oh, man. You got to...
Yeah, I'm okay with this vote.
Yeah,
Man, he's got a natural sense for filmmaking. Also, it's in 60 FPS, but only
Good.
the titles. Oh, there's the... that's his brand, I guess. All right, well, we got a new winner, everybody. And why is his tie so short? Anyway, with that, we're gonna bid you a good day. Thank you for watching. I would say take our lessons to heart, but the lesson kind of is that there is no lesson. Just be humble, talk to people, and listen to what they have to say, even if they're not saying it, which is a weird thing to say. But anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to my lovely panelists of Sex Havers, all of you, even you, Omar. I believe in you. And we'll catch you next week. We got the post show coming up right after this, if you're watching live. So we're gonna look at some fan art, talk about some cool stuff, let you guys blow us away with your comments and insights about getting laid. That's always a good time. But for now, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Oh shit. Sorry. There's a very pixelated version of the Simple Jack from Lawnmower Man, or Simple Man. I don't know. Mine the first block on the chain, known as the Genesis block. Embedded in the Coinbase of that block was the following text: the times of 3/January/2009. Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks. It's just clear text.